guess the first question is, what happened? What did you see?
So my family and I just got back from our family vacation that we go annually down to Port Aransas, Mustang Island. On Friday evening, we went into Port Aransas to have dinner, and on the way back to my wife's uncle's place where we were staying, we came across an unfortunate accident where it was a head-on collision involving 3 vehicles. One was a single occupant vehicle, which was the only fatality. He was dead on arrival when we were there. 2 other vehicles had a 5 occupant vehicle and a 6 occupant vehicle. Both had rolled over from the direct impact of that and a secondary impact from the head-on collision. Multiple first responders were, by the grace of God, there on scene. We were able to assess everybody and help out as much as possible. My wife is a nurse. I was a nurse in a past life also, so we were able to help out with all of the other first responders there. When we had fire and EMS start coming in, I knew that traffic control was going to be a main critical part of that, to allow fire engines to come through and ambulances to arrive and to come and go passing each other, because I knew there was going to be multiple people going to trauma centers. So as my wife was helping out with the families and the children that were involved in that, I did traffic control, trying to push everybody over to the median, to the shoulder, to allow the passing of fire and EMS and police force.
So we talk a lot about in this society, fight, flight, or freeze.
Right.
So having built those instincts over a number of years, I guess just what was it like for you, just having to spring into action and knowing that you could do something?
Yeah. Man, it's first of all, I want to say it was a blessing. God puts you in a place for a reason, and God put everybody in that area at that scene in a place. We had an ex-Marine that was an eyewitness that had medical background when he was there. We had everybody up from a neurosurgeon was on site. My wife and I, being nurses, I was in the ER at one point, so I had emergency response training. It's one of those things where you never want to run across, but whenever you do, it's kind of like a trigger and you go right into it and respond. You don't get emotional about it until after the effect, but whenever you're there for the families that were involved, and it's a fight instinct. Whenever you're there and you make sure everybody is okay, everybody responds appropriately, and know what you don't want is, you don't want too many people that can get into the way. So what we did, we had to maintain the scene, shut down the scene, and traffic control was one thing. We had the cars still going past the vehicle. Well, with crash investigations, you have to secure that place. So we stopped everybody and moved everybody over, and it basically essentially shut down the highway of 361 for about 4 hours.
Have you heard from any of the families or people involved since?
I have not, no. I know one family was from Dallas area. I'm not sure where the other family was. I know that the unfortunate fatality, he was a local citizen there from Corpus, according to one of their news articles.
And what about the first responders? What are they saying to you in moments like that?
Once they get to the scene, the first responders get to the scene, they fire an EMS, you let them handle it. You step back and you do what you need to as an accessory and not get in the way yourself. So that's when I stepped back and made sure that they can get in and out as easy as possible. Had a lot of people asking what was going on. I just kind of gave them basic information and told them stay away as much as possible. This is going to be an ongoing scene for a while if you're trying to get through. It's a one way in, one way out from Mustang Island to Port Aransas, other than the ferry that you can go from Aransas Pass over to Port Aransas. So if you're going from Mustang Island to Port Aransas, you're going to have to go all the way around the bay again to get to the ferry to get where your destination is, or vice versa.
I read that you told the kids to stay in the car.
We did.
So what were they like? Were they just fine, solid, or freaking out a little bit?
No, our kids were pretty solid. I was proud of them and impressed when we told them to stay in the car and let mommy and daddy do what they needed to do. They stayed put and waited for us to get back. They didn't try to get out of the vehicle. Kept the vehicle running for them because it was hot, and a lot of mosquitoes from that 11 inches of rain they got from the hurricane. So we wanted them to stay there and not really be exposed to that kind of aspect at a young age. There was a lot of questions. They had a lot of questions for us of exactly what happened, what would happen to the families afterwards. So they were pretty intuitive, which was impressive to me.
How old are your kids?
My kids are 8 and 4.5.
Okay. So
Yeah.
how do you explain any bit of what's going on, especially when they're that young?
It's hard. But I think growing up in a medical family, they've heard some kind of aspects of it already, so they were kind of easy to comprehend and take it all in. You don't tell them details of exactly what happened, but we emphasized the essential need of seat belts and maintaining your visibility while you're driving. Being aware of your surroundings when you are driving. We told them, this is it's a 2-lane, one way each way. You have passing lanes, but when you have vehicles going at a high rate of speed, and in this instance when they veered off, it caused a head-on collision.
So, in my job, I'm the media. I'm gonna, take what you say to the people and give them, what the truth is in this situation. In that situation, it's obviously devastating, but you're the mediator now between
Right.
the scene of the crash and your children.
Right.
So how do you choose just what to shield them from in that aspect, especially because someone unfortunately lost their life?
You want to maintain their innocence in a way, but you also want to grow them mentally, their mental capacity of comprehending how critical life can be at a moment. You're going to come across these instances where you have to respond, and it's how you respond in those instances that sets you apart from others in a time of crisis. So I was proud of my wife and all of the other responders there that took care of the scene. It was, a time of need where it's a very critical time whenever you don't ever want to come across an accident like that. But helping those families out and comforting them, that's where she was and how we were and everybody else involved in that on the first response. I know the police force was also very happy. When I was walking back up to the scene, the PD that had responded, and they were at the front of the line. They didn't know who I was at that point, but I told them I was the guy doing traffic control for y'all down the road, and they were very grateful. They knew exactly because they saw me as they passed. It's maintaining that scene, maintaining that aspect of making sure that everybody is safe during that time and no other collateral damage is done.